you do.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, man, like someone's going to do something. And it was just kind of that little pause. And I was like, yeah, someone like with a Komatsu is going to do something. Like, not me in Minecraft.
I'm not saying that I would commit a crime because
Never. Welcome to the Firing Pin live stream. It's a great. I didn't even know, we were just sitting here talking, and then I see his hand go up, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna keep going. Like, so we have a lot to talk about.
So much
tonight.
stuff
There's
going
a
on
lot going on.
in
I don't
the
know.
news and all over the place.
I don't know if you saw the news. I might have been on it. Doing a little interview, Channel 8.
Nice.
There's some stuff coming down the pipe though that we've been very afraid of, and we're here to talk about it tonight. So stay tuned. We'll be talking about it later. But first, a word from our sponsors. So you've got one of them. We've got a good selection, a delightful selection of
so many micro environments sitting right here in front of my face. So you guys know about Arms Preservation Inc. We talk about them every week here on the stream, and we had Jason on last week. Very cool stream you guys did in my absence, and I was there watching for some of it. I didn't get a chance to watch all of it live, so I went back and checked it out. And so thank you to Jason for being here last week. That's very cool. And thank you guys for sponsoring the live stream. Guys, Arms Preservation Inc., as you know, they make these fine bags with their vapor corrosion inhibitor technology. They're involved with the distribution on the metal defense spray, which is another really interesting product. And they're just out there, doing great things as a local small business. So support them just as you have supported us. Our other sponsor, another great local company that you guys would be familiar with, Beyond Driven Fitness and Performance, best gym in Genesee County by a mile. And, I would say it goes out considerably farther than that, but I'm not an expert. So, but if you guys are interested in 24/7 gym access, spin fit classes, their Beyond Boxing classes, CrossFit, you guys know the deal. They have it all, and they have great prices and a great facility. So check them out. Super nice, just very clean, very advanced as far as, they don't just have the same equipment from the 70s. There's that poster that you get with I think Arnold Schwarzenegger on there. It's all in black and white, it's the classic. Been in every workouts. Gym since ever. But they've actually improved their facility since then. I mean, they're all constantly continuously upgrading equipment. They just had a post the other day. They had a machine that was down for a day, got it fixed up and running right away. So
that is awesome. We've got a lot of things to talk about. We have a lot of events actually coming up that I wanted to tease in September,
which
is right around the corner. Yeah, we're already halfway through August here. We've got a lot of news, like legislative news, I guess, or just like legal news of things that are happening. And we've got some inventory that's new. We've got a lot of things going on. I think I want to talk about these. I don't know. Are these in the way? Can we leave them here?
I don't think so. I think they're fine. They're cool. From the monitor there, they look pretty good. Yeah. So all right. You guys let us know if they need to move. But we
got a ton of Army surplus ammo cans, right? Like true, actual Army surplus. Come get some of your tax dollars back.
Right.
I guess, right? We are asking $10 for these, and they have some delightful markings on them. All this is almost, is this like modern trench art? We're not in the trenches right now, so this is
you could
this is a form of
you could make
art,
an argument there, right? I would say that it's more like just a nice patina, right? shows some use. It's got some character there on the
some field expedient stuff. Yeah, this one had some interesting spalling or secondary fragmentation hitting it.
Looks like to me. I don't know, man.
Pat hit me with all these technical engineer terms. I love it. But yeah, the cool thing about these ones is they're genuine surplus, which I always think is neat. And they have, in my opinion, cool markings on them. There's various different styles. Like this one, if you can read it there, it's actually for grenades, like smoke grenades, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Yep. Which that's on there with a sticker. This one, you can see those are for frangible 5.56 rounds, which it's when's the last time you saw an ammo can? You may have more often, but that's
honestly,
that's a pretty cool and rare.
we didn't shoot a whole lot of frange where I was at. We were just I was in the regular Army, so all we shot was XM193 and M855. We didn't.
Gotcha.
Oh, and we had tracers too sometimes. But.
So just like fancy Army stuff?
No, I wouldn't say. I would say the frange maybe. The smoke grenades, those were
Normal.
plentiful. Yeah. You would see those.
Cool stuff. So yeah, we've got just as a reminder, a ton of Army, Marine Corps, Air Force now surplus. The Air Force actually, I think, has some pretty cool. I brought them up last stream, but they have that. It's a digital tiger stripe.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. They phased it out by now, so a lot of the stuff we got like 1,000 different pouches. I'll say like 300 of this kind, 400 of that kind, whatever. It came in a big bin, and it's all like brand new. They've never been issued.
Right.
They were just sitting there waiting to be used, and then it was like, oh well, we changed camo patterns, so that stuff's obsolete. Discard it, like get rid of it. It's like,
you know what you had out there that I'm interested in? You had some of those aviator gloves, the like long-ish sleeve ones, right?
Yeah.
The hatch ones.
Mhm.
I got to get me some of those because those are some of my favorite gloves to shoot in. If you guys don't know, if you don't like typically wear gloves when you shoot, or if you haven't like tried to find decent shooting gloves, I don't know about you guys, but I probably just don't shoot in gloves enough, I suppose.
It's difficult. Yeah.
But A, it can be difficult, and then B, I would say the number of shitty shooting gloves is way higher than the number of good shooting gloves, right? Like it can become very difficult to like get a good feel with the trigger finger. You know, I tend to wear gloves out a lot of times, so
Sure. Yeah.
that's an issue
You're
for some.
hard on your stuff.
Yeah, well, I try to use it as much as I can.
Yeah.
Try to get out there and get after it a little bit.
Jim says that 2 of the tiger stripes found their way to his house. That's
No
awesome.
way.
Yeah, you don't say.
You mean
Thank
Jim's
you.
been in here?
Thank
Like
you, Marianne, letting us know they're not. And hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, Mike. Hey, John.
Yeah, I saw John's in there.
Patrick and Derek love my hat. So
I was going to comment on your hat, but I wasn't going to be nearly as kind as those guys. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Do you know what this hat is?
Well, I know what it reminds me of.
What does it remind you of?
It looks like a female drill sergeant's hat. Is what it looks like.
Read it. Female drill instructor's hat. Yeah. It's hot too.
Yeah.
It's getting warm, so I'm gonna.
But that's an Air Force drill. See that the reason that I didn't recognize it right off the bat as what it is because it's not an Army. If it was an Army drill sergeant hat, it would be wool.
Ooh, it'd be even warmer. Did they use like the traditional but
they got the little brim flip. It's
they still
different.
do that?
Yeah.
Is that like is that like a woman thing, a female thing?
They only have because the men all wear real campaign hats.
Gotcha. So yeah, I got this when I go to the GovPlanet warehouse. Usually I try to get there early. I usually try to go like all in one day, get it out of the way.
Right.
So I usually try to get for like an 8 a.m. appointment. So you're like there in the beginning of the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, not last time, but the time before that I went, they didn't have any. So I didn't get there till like 2 in the afternoon. And when you get there later in the afternoon, a lot of guys that show up, they unload, like they'll bring everything out on a giant pallet, right? Or multiple pallets. And then some guys will take that stuff off of the pallet and just throw it in their car, their truck or whatever.
Right.
So there's a lot of debris and leftovers to the side. Excuse me. And in that, there's a lot of stuff that people just don't want and they don't take or they just accidentally leave behind.
Okay.
So I was bored and I was like, like there's actually stuff in some of these. And one of the other guys comes over and he's like, yeah, like that's just a free for all. And like whatever you don't take, there's literally a store that's like a half mile. There's like an Army surplus store open to the public. That's like a half mile down the road from that place, which makes a ton of sense. And that guy at the end of the day just comes by and whatever's left, he just takes for him. So it's like, if you don't take it, he will. So there was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these. So I grabbed those. There was some like mosquito netting and there was a couple other things. I was like,
yeah, I think it's funny
that
it is kind of what I thought it was, even if it's from somewhere else. But yeah, I saw that hat and I was like, I should say something, but I'm not going to. Because Brandon's my boy.
I knew full well wearing it. You know, I'm confident enough in my somewhat limited masculinity.
Me too.
So what do you? Go ahead.
Somebody in the chat said, or actually you brought up something that I wanted to hit on. So funny story from when I was in the Army, right? Kind of like with the surplus store, there was a place, you go to CIF to turn in your gear when it's time to get out, right? So every once in a while, like I was in charge of taking soldiers that were being like kicked out of the army for a little while, and I would take them around to all of their stupid appointments because they were shitbags and they couldn't make it where they were supposed to go. So I would take them to.
Sounds like a great use of your time. It sounds like
dude,
you really loved.
Most.
I'm sure you loved that, and you were super
was
enthusiastic. Like
I was the best guy for that job because like they
paid for it.
Yeah, like you gotta be on time and you gotta like do your shit, and like I'm not gonna put up with any of your nonsense, right?
Yeah.
So they gave me that job for a reason. But so I was taking guys to CIF to turn in stuff, and most of them were always missing stuff. But there was like this bin at CIF that was like just for excess gear, because like you only are responsible for turning in whatever you were issued, right?
So like if somehow you have extra,
if you have extra shit, a lot of it's gonna make it right into that Connex insert there. So like every once in a while, a guy would be like missing some shit, and I would take him over to that one little area, and I'd be like, "All right, man, if you can't find it here, you're gonna have to take that statement of charges, and you're gonna have to pay for your shit out of your last."
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, you either have to like, you can either go to the PX and you can buy it right now and you can turn it in, or they can take it from your last pay that you're gonna be due. You get a statement of charges, and they'll just take it from your.
Is there like a lot of stuff that it's like you have to turn in that situation? Like I'm sure it's different for everybody.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, there was so much shit when I was getting out. I was missing like a rucksack frame, maybe it was something stupid, like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like but yeah, it was literally 4 or 5 pages of shit that
it's not like you can turn it in like, okay, here's all your shit, here's all your stuff, and you've been in a while, and you know, like, all right, I'm not going to use X, Y, and Z or whatever. Like,
you can keep it.
You can't like turn it in early though. Like you have to be responsible for it until they want it back.
Well, until like you have orders to clear, right?
Okay,
so like
sure.
That was the other thing that guys would do. That was kind of a shitty move, and I had some soldiers that did this, like, and it really pissed me off.
Yeah,
because I thought more of them than that. But what they would do is they would get orders to clear post, and they would like make an appointment to start clearing, and they would immediately take all of their shit to CIF and turn it in. And then you'd be like going to the field, and you'd be like, hey man, it's time to go to the field. So like we got to lay out tomorrow. And then you like find out like, I already turned in all my shit. Like I'm not going to the field.
Like I don't have a backpack.
What?
Or what, right? Like what do you mean?
I'm like you couldn't have told me, like I gotta go to my boss now, and
they're still there
like,
for how long? Like 2 weeks maybe, or 3 weeks, or whatever, right?
Potentially a while. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because some guys would get orders to clear posts, like, and they would almost be a month out.
Wow.
But they have orders, and like they have to start making some appointments, but it takes a little bit of time to get through everything, because you have to go through like the Army Career Assistance Program. You have to do, there's a lot of different hurdles that you have to jump through to make sure that you're
it does seem like
all signed off.
Like a shitbag thing to do. Like
dude, it was the worst, especially because like again, like if you're their boss, like every once in a while, you have to go and you have to tell your supervisor like, hey, you didn't know because I didn't know, and like now I look like an idiot.
Yeah. So Brian says that shooting gloves at retail stores are literally gloves that he bought as a mechanic that are $30 more and have a cool tactical color.
I wish that like, if that's true, then mechanics need better gloves too. Because honestly, like the finger dexterity on most of those gloves, it has been an issue for me. Like I can't imagine trying to work with like, certain like a ratchet, like a socket set, ratchet, whatever. That's pretty easy, but there are tools and things that you need a little bit more finger dexterity for. That
absolutely.
I would not want to try to wear those gloves.
What you got there, buddy? What you thought of this? You ever seen something like that? Oh man, that's an old.
I like it so much. I like it so much.
Would you have used something like that?
I used something identical to this. In fact, it's got the little sling mount. I loved these sling mounts as opposed to the one underneath of here. Just
makes a lot more sense.
To run it down the side was always cool. 1-in-7 twist barrel, 14.5. Yeah, I had a little gangster grip, but back in the day, we used to use the gangster grip like this.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Like
you didn't know anything.
You held it.
Yeah, we held it like.
How would you do it now?
Well, now I would use it like a hand stop, and I'd put my thumb.
Would you
over
chop
the
it?
Top. No, probably not. For this, I would leave it just because I like the aesthetics of like the GWAT stuff. Actually, I
And
got some GWAT stuff over here.
Per your last
GWAT type
story,
stuff.
you can't turn in a cutoff grip, right? Like
Right.
you get in trouble.
Actually, so those were more or less expendable items. Like those
really?
wouldn't get turned into CIF
Gotcha.
or anybody. Those were like in the unit arms room, and
Sure.
you know, some guys liked them, some guys didn't. But they would always come up missing and shit.
Knights armament though, super cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Very what'd you say? Yeah. Oh yeah. It's got the rear sight too, the Maytech.
Yeah, those are super
That's
cool.
like $100, $115.
They are
rear
not
sight.
cheap. Yeah, I know.
It's beefy.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about this specific, well, iron sights in general, I guess, they're calibrated for a zero distance that I don't necessarily favor on most of these guns. Like, you know, this I probably want to zero at 36, which is pretty close to 300 with some loads and so. But then again, you're limited to like that specific load. With I feel like with an optic, it's just a little bit easier to get.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
As opposed to like using iron sights that are.
What would you put on this? You got to go like an aim point, right?
Yeah, I was actually eyeballing. You got an aim point patrol rifle optic over there that I think is probably going to have to go on my little buddy over here.
Bring that up here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
it's okay. It's safe. It's safe.
It is safe because it's got this cool guy 10-round magazine jammed up in there forever. So this is kind of like I don't know what to call it. It's not a clone really. So this
it's GWAT inspired, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a. So for those that know me, right, I'm somewhat of a traditionalist. I mean, I do like some modern stuff, but that's really not what moves the needle for me, I guess. What moves the needle for me is stuff that works, right? Like ultimately, that's what I am interested in, right? So for this specific rifle, I wanted to have something with a fixed front sight base, because I just really think that that's like the most secure way to mount your gas block to a gun is to have it cross pinned, right? I definitely like, or I don't dislike, I guess, having a front sight tower there. I don't view it as being like really super in the way, but it could be potentially. And I do have like flat top guns for that reason without a front sight base. But this just kind of reminds me of like doing a job that I really enjoyed a lot. So that's why that's part of the reason I went with the fixed front sight based in addition to the gas tube situated gas block situation. So it does have a 1-in-9 twist barrel. This is a Delton upper, which I really think that they make solid shit.
Agreed.
I ended up getting one of their lower end upper receivers, right? So as a result of that, I had to get a different BCG. Like full disclosure, I did not use the BCG that came with this gun. I got one of the, like I said, a lower end Delton upper, and it came with like a nitride BCG as opposed to a phosphate BCG.
Sure.
And it came with YFS fasteners when I was under the impression I was getting grade 8 fasteners in my gas key. So I was not stoked about that. I don't really dig YFS fasteners on my gas key. That's pretty important to me. Like my whole gas system, as you guys can tell, I'm pretty obsessed with like making sure I have enough gas going into my gun for good reason. So, I want to make sure I have a good gas key stake job and a good set of fasteners there. So I needed something different. I ended up getting a Toolcraft BCG, which I like a lot more. It's still nitride, which kind of sucks. I wanted a phosphate, but it was $60.
It's hard to beat.
So for $60,
definitely an upgrade from what came with it.
100%, right? It's properly staked. It's got much better fasteners. It's made by Toolcraft, so I'm comfortable because they make a lot of OEM shit for a lot of good companies. So there's that. The upper is kind of like an M16A4 inspired upper, but it is mid-length with a 16-inch barrel. Right, so it's not a true like an M16A4 clone, as you guys know, would be like 20 inches, and it would have the bird cage and it would have a rifle length gas system. Obviously, it's 2023, and I don't necessarily need a 20-inch rifle most of the time.
Sure,
right?
Sometimes.
Oh, dude, 20-inch gun is nice, right? There's nothing wrong with a 20-inch gun, but
that extra velocity.
Yeah, 100%. If you need to push a 55 grain bullet a little bit faster, then I get it. So we're getting some lag on the audio. I'm
Little
just
bit of
learning
audio
now.
lag,
Sorry
yeah.
about that, guys. As far as like the lower goes,
I was just gonna mention the lower.
So we're gonna talk about the lower. This is a KE Arms. It's a polymer lower. A little bit of controversy there on the.
There we go.
A little bit of controversy there on the. Oh yeah. Sorry about that, guys. A little bit of controversy on the polymer for the lowers. Some people love them. Some people hate them.
I'm a fan for what it's worth. This is the one.
Right.
If you're going to get a polymer lower, this is the one.
Right. And there's a reason why, right? Because the receiver extension interface with the lower receiver has always been a weak point, if not the weak point for the M4, right? So we eliminate that with this monolithic lower receiver, which I like. It's all one piece as far as the lower goes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. It's got an ambi safety. It doesn't have any sort of ambidextrous bolt catch setup or anything of that nature. It does have a really nice trigger. And one of the features about this trigger, status checks are free. So one of the nice features about this trigger, I can go ahead and put the gun on semi now that I've cleared it, and I can press the trigger, and now I can put the gun right back on safe.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Who makes that
obviously, actually, KE Arms.
That was good. I thought it was
trigger to them.
Yeah.
It came with the rifle. It's a 3.5 pound single
awesome.
stage trigger. Very, very nice.
I like KE Arms a lot. I don't really have any of their little stool issue. I am a big fan of KE Arms. I really don't own anything that they make other than one of those same what would Stoner do? Lowers. That's what they call it. I guess there was a project a few years back, Forgotten Weapons did a project and a channel called In Range, where they made a modern take. In the AR-15, a lot of people don't know. I mean, the AR-15 was designed back going into even the 50s and 60s.
Right.
And yes, it's still the modern gun. I mean, it's being somewhat replaced by the Spear, but even still, at the time, it was being made with space age materials. I mean, they were making guns out of aluminum in an age where like they were still using the M14 steel and walnut, you know what I mean? And they're you're making a gun out of plastic and aluminum now. These are like cutting edge materials. So they were like, hey, well, if Stoner was alive today, which I don't know if he still was alive at the time, but if he was still, designing stuff today, I know Jim Sullivan was at the time, but I don't think Eugene Stoner's still alive. They're like, what would Stoner do if he was tasked with designing the AR-15, but it's today? So they did a lot of like carbon fiber, even more polymer in other areas like the lower. And they, at the time, there was a company called GWAX Armory, GWACS. And they were making that lower. And they had the molds, they had everything, whatever, right? And I don't know if they just couldn't keep up with demand, or I don't know what the behind the scenes was, but they couldn't make it happen. And KE Arms, who's like the guy who owns that, Russell Fagan, he's like a big competitive shooter, huge in that industry, has a big operation, KE Arms out west, and kind of stepped in and was like, well, we can make that. And really, like, they took that, like the GWAX one was like a Gen, maybe even 0 product, and the lower that you have now is like a Gen like 3 or 4 or 5 even. Like, they really refined it. They made a lot of amazing changes. It's really impressive how it's made. It's made 2 separate pieces in a mold, and then it's like plastic polymer welded together, which is pretty neat. And they're really nice. They are, I think, the lightest lower that you can get, because it's a complete, it has the stock, the buffer, like everything's a part of that. So yes, like for a lower, it might be not as light. You might be able to find a lighter lower, just a stripped lower. But by the time you add the stock and the receiver and all the, the buffer tube and everything, it's going to be way heavier than that. So super cool, I think, concept. And I mean, you run the shit out of your stuff. And
I haven't actually been to the range in a little bit, man. I haven't been able to shoot this one, and I got another gun over there. I really want to talk about that gun because it's another cool local company.
Go get it.
The guys from Seek Arms. Hold on a second. I definitely want to show some love to them because they've been so nice to me.
So, Mike, the buffer tube is inside of the lower already. Yeah. It's all one piece. Then there's no, forgive me if I'm wrong, there's no like liner. It is just the polymer is the buffer tube itself. Like you just throw your actual buffer and spring in there, and it's right in there. And Jim McGee, A2 fixed stock all the way. Amen.
So I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you on that one, Jim. No, I think Jim is a little bit taller than me, if I'm not mistaken. And so I, being relatively short, I actually prefer an A1. I think that the A1 is the perfect stock length for me, and actually the preferred length of pull that I set all of my guns to. All of the length of pull that I set my guns to is actually the same as the A1. So with this is from Seek Arms.
Super cool.
Yeah, super nice guys. They hooked me up with this, and I want to talk to you guys about it a little bit. So it's got the cool Hogue stock on here.
Mm-hmm.
It came with a Hogue pistol grip as well. They did matching furniture on there. I ended up changing it out for a rubberized Magpul K2, just because I prefer the grip angle. I like it.
You use that on a couple things, haven't you?
I use it all the time. I pretty much change. If I could change the one on the KE, I would change it just for the angle.
That's the one downside to that is
correct.
You get what you get on that one.
Yes, there is a pin, Mike, to catch the buffer for sure. It came with this gun came with a Radian Raptor ambi safety. It came with a Geissele. It came with a G trigger, which I thought was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually never owned a gun. I've owned a gun with a Geissele trigger before. I use ALG ACTs a lot, which are basically the same thing without all the hand tuning and fitting of the parts. But ultimately, I've never had a flat face trigger or a Geissele in any of my
really nice
rifles. So I'm very excited about that. It's got an M-LOK handguard. It's a 15-inch M-LOK handguard. They actually, Amon likes my tattoos on my forearms. They say, pray for peace on the left and train for war on the right. He actually laser engraved on my handguard there the same text as my tattoos, which I think is pretty cool. They did a Warhammer ambidextrous BCG with the Seek Arms, ambidextrous charging handle with their logo, but they also did a really high-speed BCG with, try and get the coating to kind of catch the light here so you guys can see how like shiny it is. I'm usually not a big fan of fancy coatings and things on BCGs, but they seem to like it so much, and they have had such good results testing it that I really wanted to try it out. So more information to follow. I'll be making some follow-on stuff about this as I get a chance to actually get out and use it a little bit more. But I wanted to talk. Oh, it's also got for those who are interested, mid-length gas and an H2 buffer. They test fired it for me, and it seems to be cycling well from what I've been told. But again, I haven't been to the range in a bit. So once I get a chance to get out, I'm definitely going to be using the shit out of this and doing some stuff there. And then the other gun, I'll probably just zero it and put it away for a little bit.
Yeah, nice. I just finally read this. I was like, why is this paper on my desk here?
Right.
So Orleans County Scope asked us if we could share this information. And they have a pretty cool opportunity here to learn about some of the upcoming Second Amendment lawsuits that are in the works in New York State, because there's a lot of them actually in the works right now. FPC, our good friends over at Firearms Policy Coalition, which if you're not a member of, shame on you. If you are a gun owner, if you have ever complained about New York's gun laws and you're not a member of FPC, you're wrong. You need to be a member. I know things are hard right now. Times are tough, but it's $35 like
for the year, right?
Right. For a year. And you need to do it. I mean, we are literally under attack here in New York, and I should have kept teasing this to keep interest, but I have been wanting to talk about some of the systemic ways that New York is destroying the Second Amendment culture here in New York. And it's absolutely insane. And it is intentional. It's 100% intentional. So they have Cody, who came out for Freedom Weekend from FTC. He's like their head lawyer over there. Yeah. And he will be remoting in to the Orleans County Scope meeting in September. So September 12th from 7 to 8 in the Albion Hogue Library, which is like the main one there in Albion. You can attend that meeting, or you can get the link to also attend virtually. And then Cody will be attending virtually because he lives out in California. So he'll be on like a Zoom call with Scope, and he can talk about, they have him for a whole hour. So it'll be like a little town hall. And they would like you to RSVP to Scope Orleans RSVP at outlook.com if you want to do the remote. Or again, if you just show up September 12th at 7 at the Albion Library on Main Street there in Albion, you can kind of do a little virtual meet and greet with the FPC guys. So, excuse me. Yeah, there you go. Firearmspolicy.org. Lawsuit printer, go Burr. They need your money. That is unfortunately the only way that we can fight things. Our interests aren't represented by our congressmen, our congresspeople. So it seems like the only way that we can get the constitutionally and like naturally born rights that we have is through the court system, which luckily has seen the light and has made the correct decisions lately.
Right.
But it's scary to think that they're going to keep passing laws. And like I said before, they have attacked and they are continuing to destroy and demolish the culture of it's freedom and independence is really what it comes down to. Carrying a firearm and having your own self-defense be yours, and like you taking ownership of that, I truthfully think is one of the highest forms of freedom. Like it's freeing to not need the government for something I think so simple and basic, like defending yourself and your loved ones. Like yes, okay, like your house gets broken into, you're gonna call the cops too. Right. They didn't stop it. They didn't like they're there to take a report because you need one for your insurance company or whatever. Or like, so I'm not anti-cop. I'm not trying to make it that argument, but like when something happens, like if it's a fire, if it's a whatever, if it's a car accident, someone's injured, like you don't go to the hospital every time your kids were injured.
Right.
Like you there's a certain level of things. Well, sure, yeah, I need their help for this, but like there's a lot of things where I'm going to take care of them myself. Or like if one of the kiddos hurt themselves bad enough that, yeah, you do need to go get them help. You still had to help them, in whatever the situation was before we get to that point. So anyway, they are, the laws that they have passed are, number one, shutting down gun stores left and right. Our contacts within the ATF, we're very friendly with them. We talk, I would almost say weekly, just to keep an open rapport with them. Right. And one time they mentioned that, through normal courses of business, people retire, they want to move, whatever, they just give up. They usually see 1 to 2 FFLs close in our region, say in the 9-county region of Western New York, maybe going out to Syracuse. They usually see 1 to 2 close a year. Just in 2023, they've had like 15 to 20 hang up their hats. We just learned that Kinton Guns out in Victor, as of September 13th, they're going to be done. Barrett's in Batavia, he went appointment only.
Retired.
Yeah, he's essentially retired.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's happening. I just took a phone call from a small home-based FFL down in Ithaca. I'm in a lot of like FFL dealer groups online and stuff, and then there's like a New York specific one, of course. And not that I'm an expert, but I've been in the game a little bit. So, people ask a question, I answer, whatever. Course, yeah. So some, there's a few FFLs that kind of, they'll come to me with issues they may have or just, whatever. And he was like, hey man, like, I'm really considering like, he does it out of his house. So it's always kind of like a side thing to fund his own hobby. Anyways, it's not like he had a big storefront. It's not like he's shutting out employees it's not like his livelihood depends on this either. But he's like, I'm just sick of it. And he's like, I'm not, I don't feel like spending $5,000 on an alarm system and a security system for all these. So there's New York, out of all the laws they've ever passed, this set of laws, like it's going to start, number one, shutting down FFLs. So the fewer gun shops there are,
the fewer gun sales there can
the
be.
fewer there can be.
Right.
You know, if you live out, I mean, we live just off the 490. So like we're just out of Rochester, like we're in, the greater Rochester area, I would say. But you get down into like the southern tier and stuff. I mean, you might have to drive an hour or more now to go to your local gun shop because all the other ones have closed.
Sure.
They're just making it harder and harder for the average person that's trying to just do the right thing,
right,
to exercise, again, your naturally born right. Like you have a right to self-defense, and the government is just putting as many barriers as they can in front of you. And the most egregious one that I think that's coming up is these ammo and gun background checks.
Right.
So I was just on Channel 8 a couple nights ago, and that is coming September 13th. The state says it will be ready to start doing ammo background checks.
Yep.
So you come in to buy a box of ammo, and we don't really know if it's one box or 100. If it's how are they going to really determine, right? Like if you come in, you're buying a pallet of ammo, is that one check and therefore one $2.50 charge, or is it per box? Is it? No one knows, right? So there will be a background check, and the state has admitted that there is a distinct possibility that someone could pass the background check to buy a gun, but fail the background check to buy ammunition.
And they did that on an open call, right? Like
that was with the NSSF. Yeah.
Right. They were talking to you and other people.
So I really like that. I sat on that, and you just take it at face value at first, and you're like, okay, sure. But I really thought about that, and I was like, how? Because like when you do a background check, there is a list of crimes. They have all the crimes that you could be charged with, right? Everything that's on the whatever.
Right. And
these ones are bad enough, and you can't own a firearm if you commit any of these crimes. Generally, acts of violence, domestic violence,
felony,
this type of felonies,
drug stuff,
right. So here's all the list of crimes that you can't. But then over here, there are crimes, speeding tickets, and whatever, right? Like non-violent type of stuff, right? That are over here, and you could be convicted of those, but still buy a gun, right? A lot of people do it all the time. So, like, what could be on that list? Like the list of stuff that's not bad enough to preclude you from buying a gun. So you've committed some type of offense, but it's not that bad. You can still buy a gun. But the offense that you committed is bad enough that you can't buy ammunition. And literally the only thing that I can rationalize that I think it could be is the state, which they've also admitted they has intelligence units that look at your social media,
of course,
and they just look at everything that the public is doing under the guise of like Patriot Act type of stuff, right? Keeping you safe, thought crime stuff. And there's going to be some type of no-fly list where it's like, okay, we can't deny Pat a gun because there is a definitive list of no-nos and whatever.
He hasn't violated any
done
statutes that would.
But we, New York State, are solely in control now of who can buy ammo and who can't. And we're just going to say no to Pat. And I don't think there's going to be an appeals process like there is with NICS. Now, there might be, because New York State is doing the gun background checks too, which we'll get to in a minute. I don't know what the process will be. If you get denied on ammo, how can you appeal it? Who do you appeal it to? What's the process?
Right.
Do you get, like when you get denied through the FBI, you have a legal right to know at no charge, here's your record. Here's why you are denied. And you can like dispute it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, that's not me,
sure,
or that got cleared up or whatever. Right. Or you learn like, oh yeah, fuck, I forgot about that. You know what I mean? Like, so at least you will know. With this, I don't think New York State is bound by any of those requirements, nor would they care. And it's
take them to court. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's a really, really scary thing. And yeah, Jim, that you've bought enough ammo in their opinion, right? You've got one gun. It's a 9mm. Why do you need any other caliber?
You need?
Right.
How much ammunition could you need?
It's absolute lunacy. And yeah, Brett doing everything they can to neuter gun owners. There's going to be a $9 charge per firearm that we know of. It might be per transaction, but there's a $9 charge for a gun, which, you know what? I mean, like, I'm not going to say that it's not that bad, because any amount of, could you imagine if you paid $9 to vote? That would be, I mean, we literally, like, I don't know if the Civil War was about that per se, but like we have come to, like, we have done some things in this country over voting.
Right.
Like it is your right to vote and have your voice heard. And before that is the Second Amendment, which protects all these other rights. And you have to pay to play now, to exercise your rights to defend yourself. It's just, you can tell I'm mad.
It's all extortion, man.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, like it's all just a cash grab, like somebody already said in the chat before. It's all just extortion at the end of the day. So
it really is. It really is.
And
it's,
like you say, all New York State is going to do is they're going to do whatever they want, and then they're going to say, take us to court and fight it if you think you can.
If you've got 50 grand to
Right.
even start that process, which who does,
Exactly. Well, hopefully Firearms Policy Coalition does. If you guys join.
John, I know FPC, they have, I want to say 5 lawsuits going right now. I don't know if they have any against the new laws like the Concealed Carry Improvement Act, just because those are so fresh.
Right.
I know New York State Rifle and Pistol has one. Bruin 2, right? The original Bruin case,
Right.
Which for some reason I always thought Bruin was one of the defendants. Bruin is the state superintendent of police. So he's the bad guy, actually. But yeah, they have Bruin 2, Electric Boogaloo, but they have Bruin 2 is in the works now. I think they're waiting. I just saw on their website for a judge to be assigned.
Right.
So that is in the works, and that's explicitly targeting in the history of, like, when you read like, why are we doing this lawsuit? It's like it gives you the history of like these New Yorkers' rights were violated. We brought suit against the state. And we were found to be correct. And this, like, the Supreme Court found in our favor,
right? Not
of the state, of the country, right? And because of that, then like the next week, New York retaliatorily passed, and they're even more egregious than the other ones. Like the first ones were egregious, and everyone agreed, and these ones are even worse. So they're laying some groundwork, New York State Rifle and Pistol, to attack a lot of these things. But there's some things that aren't being attacked, and I am working, I don't want to say we're all alone out here, but it is very difficult to find dealers who are willing to work and to fight and to stand up, because a lot of us, it's like we're living in Eastern occupied Europe under the Ruskies, and it's like we've been beaten down for so long. And I mean, are you willing to stick your neck out and go up against New York State, knowing that they have all of the power in the world to audit you 5 different ways? And just take your licenses away and just make your life hell. We're trying to fight the fight, but also eat and keep a business open. And
sure.
I mean, we've got not just me, but there's like 4 or 5 families that are like, this is their
they
job.
Depend on,
this is how they pay their mortgages and stuff.
For sure.
So it's very difficult. I'm not like mad at other gun dealers. I'm not blaming them or whatever. I'm just saying it's difficult for us to come together, because any of those bills, like the Concealed Carry Improvement Act, they can do away with. But the one that's shutting gun stores down is Senate Bill 4970, which is the one about all the dealer requirements. And that's the one that makes us have to have a separate bound book for New York State and send it in. And that's the one that regulates this ammo background check law.
I don't even think I heard about that you had to have a separate bound book for New York.
So I mean, it's this, I don't want to say it's a separate bound book per se, but
basically
New York State now has the rights to our bound book. And twice a year, I have to send them all of the data.
2 times every year?
Twice a year, April and November.
But for those that don't know, the bound book is like the log of everything that goes in and out of the store.
Yep.
And it even contains, everything that's serialized as far as firearms go.
Yeah.
But it also contains the information of who actually purchased.
Right.
So whoever before said, you should tackle John's question here in a second. But as far as like establishing a registry,
that's it.
I would say that would be everything that they would need then to start building a database based on all of that information.
Absolutely. I'm pretty cynical, so take that with a grain of salt, or take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. But what would stop them from, okay, we're going to take all these A&D books and we're going to collect them and we're going to run them through some type of database, and let's just see, like, let the top 50 people or the top 1%, 2% of people who bought the most amount of guns.
Right.
Let's just go pay them a visit. And like that guy in Syracuse or Syracuse area who was picking up guns picking up ammo from a local FFL. And that FFL was like, that guy's buying too much ammo. I should do something about this. And he called the state troopers, he called the ATF. Did you hear about this?
No.
He called the ATF and they worked with the state troopers and they paid this guy a visit. And for some reason, I don't know if they had a warrant or if they had other information, but an investigation was done and they go in and it turned out the guy had like built a few homemade suppressors and he had like an SBR or two that were like just chilling. It was at like his hunting camp or whatever.
And how many crimes was he committing?
Right.
How many violent offenses was he
Right.
Because he was in possession of objects is what you're telling me is he owned property.
All I can think of is that scene from like Parks and Rec when they're driving like the big truck and they get pulled over and the cop is like telling like, well, you're committing a bunch of crimes right now. And Ron Swanson's like, we have a different definition of a crime, son. Like that's how I feel. Like no victim, no crime. If an object like, you know what I mean? I don't get it.
It doesn't even like who.
But yeah, I shouldn't name him, but look up Damar, Damar, Damar gunsmithing in Syracuse. And he was getting just 1-star reviewed by like hundreds of people. A lot of them were scrubbed because they were like, they said bad words. So he was able to get.
Should have been 1-star reviewed by every person who ever was born.
He is an 80-plus-year-old FUD. He is the king of FUDs, right?
Okay.
And like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, there's an article in like the Syracuse Times of Syracuse. And he goes, yeah, I fix shotguns and this and that. Nobody should own an AR. I don't sell ARs. Nobody needs nothing like that. And yeah, that fuddy-duddy of an FFL, one of our own, turned in one of his customers for buying too much ammo. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine first of all, in any business, any business that's legal, I'm not sure if you're a meth dealer, maybe you would have that. Like, I don't think the morals play into that, but like any legal business, I guess alcohol would be the only one that like, if you're selling it, the guy comes in and he's like yellow and he's turning yellow in front of you, maybe, but it's like, what business would turn away, first of all, a customer that's buying or he had to charge something for the transfer. Why would he come in? I just don't understand the mindset of turning someone in like that. And then again, for the government to waste their time on something like that, someone who's not, that guy got 4 years in prison. Well, he got sentenced to 4 years.
But in their mind, it's not wasting their time, right? It's like the 75-year-old guy in Utah. If they can provoke some kind of a confrontation, and if they can get you
the bolt action rifles.
Yeah, the M24. Yeah. He was posting about this and that, and he ended up getting capped by the FBI. Now, I don't like to say that the government goes around murdering people, but I also don't like to have a government that goes around murdering people. So
there is no law. There is no law that they will not kill you to enforce.
Dude, I post that almost
100%, dude. 100%. So John asked, would you suggest people get their FFL right now? I am all about people getting their FFL. If you want help getting yours, like get a hold of me. I will help you. I'll walk you through it. And I'll tell you the realities of it. The big two, the number one thing that stops most people is where you want to do it. Either like has to be commercial, which is the big one. Or say, like as long as you own a spot where you're not prohibited, I'll put it that way. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like commercial land, but wherever it's going to go, you have to get a letter from the landlord saying that they acknowledge what you're doing and they're okay with what you're doing. So it has to be somewhat commercial and you have to find a landlord that's okay with it, right? Or be your own.
Right. If you own a house,
which is
home,
cool.
That's good.
But a lot of people, if you live in like an apartment building or you live in an HOA or you live in certain, areas, certain towns have like I think the town of Irondequoit has a no home business law.
Right.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Ordinances in certain
Doesn't matter what it is. Like you can't be a hairdresser, you can't be whatever. Because my ATF guy said there's one FFL out of his house in Irondequoit who had it before that law. And so he's grandfathered as long as he keeps his FFL current.
But as soon as
but no one else can. As soon as he's done, he's done. He'll never get another one because of a local town ordinance. So that's the big thing is you've got to have it in a spot where you can have it, right? And then number two, you have to be okay with essentially giving the ATF a free pass to that location anytime. We say anytime, day or night. That's a bit of a stretch.
That's
but
part
it
of
is
the
true.
reason you have to have business hours, right? Because they can only visit you during your normal.
They can only come in like unannounced. Yeah, I mean, if they want to come in swinging the hammer, they'll just come in whenever.
Sure,
right? But yes,
they have
right.
done that to
you're
FFLs. Like you're not exempt from that, right? That could happen.
So that is the big hurdle for most. Is that say you do it out of your house? Now I've heard a lot of things too. If you do it in like your garage, it's not like they can go through your wife's panties, right? In the thing there, like there is some
separation.
There is some
of
logic there that's applied,
right.
But in general, if it's in your house, if you literally have the safe in the basement and that's your business safe, and you do your deals on your literal kitchen table,
yes,
where else is your shop? So that is the big consideration. That's the big line in the sand that most people aren't willing to cross. Is that if you get your FFL, whatever that location is, you open it up to the federal government, and you can't say no. If you say no when they come in, if you say no, that's like revocation. You're done. That's like there's a big thing like Biden's taking all the FFLs away. Like there's the zero tolerance thing.
Right.
That's one of there's like 5 deadly sins, like selling a gun to somebody without a background check, not doing a background check like at all. Or I guess that's the same thing. Selling someone that's like a failed one. Yeah. Not maintaining records, not responding to a trace. If you just don't respond to a trace, I have a crazy story about that. And then, refusing an ATF visit. Like if you tell them no, because you got to flush the evidence, right? That's revoked. But otherwise, I will admit, the process of getting the FFL is not that difficult. It's $150 for 3 years. You get ink fingerprinted, and you send it in, and you wait, and then you get a visit by an ATF guy, and he goes through all the stuff. And like I think there'd be something like if you weren't allowed it and it was clear, there'd be something in between there. But you get a visit. And then they tell you like, hey, you got to get this and this, or, you got to get that letter from your landlord because we just realized that you're renting this place or whatever. Like I had to write my own because like I own the land, but I have like one company that owns the land, one company that like the firing pin is another company. So I had to like write like, dear Brandon from Brandon. Like, yes, I, Brandon, your landlord, Brandon, but you have to do it. And then you've got it for 3 years. They'll send you the Gun Control Act and be like, here, read it. And whatever you don't understand, I guess, ask us. But it is kind of assumed that you will take care of it yourself and learn it and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of gets down to it. And then in New York, if you want to deal in handguns or semi-automatic rifles, you have to get your New York State dealer's license, which that's like getting your pistol permit. It's actually if you've ever gotten your pistol permit, the box that you checked was right next to FFL or dealer's license or gunsmith. They're all three. It's the same form. So you send that in. That takes generally however long, like every county's different. If it takes a year to get your pistol permit, it's going to take you a year to get your dealer's license. It's because it's the same process. Even if you already have, the fun thing is too,
even if you have a pistol permit already,
have your pistol permit. Here's one of my fun things that I love about New York State. And you get your pistol permit, you get digitally fingerprinted.
Sure.
So there's a file somewhere. Patrick Kimball's fingerprints.
Oh, they know.
Here's a scan. Oh, they got a couple.
They got
them, right? Yeah, they got a couple times.
They got them.
They got a scan of them. So 2011, I got my pistol permit. Like the day I turned 21, that was like I was more excited about that than I was about getting a car.
Right, for sure.
And so 2011, I get my pistol permit. 2013, I apply for my dealer's license for this place, and I had to get digitally fingerprinted.
Like your digital fingerprints would have changed.
So now there's a times two. Like they got a little. I have a folder now. There's a folder with two of my, and then your dealer's license is good for 3 years, and then you renew it. So 2016, I renewed it, and then so 3 years from then, I had to renew it again in 2019. And every other year, you have to do a full. They call it renewal. So I had to get my references again.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get fingerprinted again. So now, supposedly, they probably lost them, but supposedly there's 3 of my fingerprints on file. Sure. And then I just had to renew again this past time, but it was only a half renewal. So in like 2.5 years, I'll have to get re-fingerprinted again.
Lame.
Again. Oh, and the fingerprints, I mean, they're digital. Right. So that should be free. or very low cost. You should be able to walk into a
$100.
government building, like the government wants the fingerprints, so the government should do it. Like they should bear. We already pay for all those ladies to be there at the clerk's office. They're amazing.
They get paid.
They're there. They could just do that too. But you know what would be better is if there was a company that could do
contractor.
it. If we could pay a private company and put a middleman in there.
We're creating a job.
Yeah.
You know? It's job creation, man.
One of the many things I may be somewhat looking for, like, I don't know if an investigative journalist is like too serious of a term, but that would be the ideal, is if someone knows someone, or if there's anybody out there with like a student that's like going to school for investigative journalism or just journalism in general, I guess, and wants to make some money and work together, like have them call, I guess, email me. Don't call me. Email me, please.
Or just stop by the store.
Come on
There's
down.
no digital records of that.
Give us your,
Kidding.
Meet me under the bridge at midnight. Oh, don't do that. There's a different group that meets that time. You don't want to meet them. You don't want to meet them.
Does anybody have any questions?
God,
I know there's some concerns out there. I know there's some comments, I'm sure. But.
This April lady says, my husband is a fox. You're mostly human.
Majority.
Part horse, I hear. My husband is a fox. Also, I sent him the cutest picture ever if you want to lighten the stream a little bit. Let's see it. All right.
Let's peep it, fellas.
We got to hire that guy from the Cheaters show.
Why does he be?
Was that
somebody cheating?
Surprise! Was he the surprise, motherfucker? Was that him?
No, that was the guy from Dexter, bro. Dokes.
Oh, dogs.
Yeah.
All right, name them.
So that one is Zora, and that's Echo, and that's Raven, and that's Envy. I'll bring it over by the camera so you guys can share. Tell me when I'm close because I can't see and monitor right now. Oh, I got one on the camera.
It's the puppy cam.
There's a boxer puppy there. That's Zora. There is 3 German Shepherds there. It is not in focus whatsoever. So
they're really cute.
They're okay.
And they're so cuddly, right? Like they're just love bugs.
Oh, dude, I had 3 dogs trying to fight for a spot in my lap earlier.
If it's Ken says we should hire the Catch a Predator, we should hire Chris Hansen, the Catch a Predator guy.
100%.
Let's take a seat over there. Brian, there needs to be a penalty assessed against the state for violating our rights when they lose a case. There is no accountability for the state. We were just talking about that
100%.
like before the stream.
Yep.
They don't care one bit. Oh wow. You see his stuff now. They lose a case, so what? Exactly. They just turn around, they push more bills through the system, and they get paid to do it too.
100%.
Like they're gonna get paid to oppress you. That's the thing that hurts the most. Evening, Devin. Thank you. Gotta love the state and redundant practices. Speaking of redundancy, the redundant department. So right now, when you come in to do a background check, we contact through the interwebs. We go to a portal and it's the FBI, right? And we're in there and we write all your stuff, Pat, your name, your date of birth, all your stuff. And we put it in this database and we put it in there and they run it against all these databases and they do their thing, right? And they poop out an answer. And coming September 13th, we will now be what's called a point of contact state, which means we, the dealer, will no longer contact Nix directly. We won't be trusted with that. We have to contact the state troopers. And now there's going to be a state trooper website that I will type all your info into, the same information. And then from that state website, they take that information and run it through Nix.
Yeah.
So it's still going through Nix.
So we created another job, though.
We've created 400 more jobs in Albany. They've hired hundreds of investigators. That's all right. Hundreds of investigators that they call them. And these are the people that will be doing the ammo background check investigating too. Remember how that's going to work.
Oh, sure.
Wow. I propose it may work or suppose it may work. And Joel, yes. Send in dog
thank
photos.
you. I was just going to take care of that while you were.
Hey, New York State is cheating. Hey, Ahmed.
100%, man.
And so
Ahmed, what's up, buddy?
They they have this system in place that no matter how you feel about guns, you can be the most anti-gun person that's out there, but none of us like government waste.
Right.
I think we can all agree on that moral, like the government is inefficient, and okay, you want them to help the homeless people, and like I just got an email like Brockport's given free meals to all the kids this year for school,
right?
Free lunch, and it's like awesome. That's the government I like.
That sounds really nice.
That's
right?
good stuff, yeah. Right? But then it's like you're going to throw all this money into a system that we already have. New York participates with NICS fully. No state participates like better than we do. As soon as you get arrested or charged or whatever, that clerk in Bergen, she's uploading it to the FBI. Like they know about it right away.
Right.
And they know fully. Like, so I keep digressing, but like when you do a background check and you get a delay, the reason is like they only have certain, descriptors, your name, your birthplace, your birth date, certain things that they, it's not like they have a picture of you. They don't have your fingerprints, right?
Right.
So they run Pat Kimball against, there's like 5 different databases they run it against.
Right.
And sometimes they get absolutely no results, 0 results found, instant proceed because they got nothing on you, right? Sometimes they come up, boom, felony in this state, boom, felony. I know you've evaded all these.
Those are all the other Patrick Kimballs that are out there.
I know in your
around,
case, but in this Pat is bad Pat.
Yeah,
convicted. Yeah. So then obviously that's an instant deny.
Right.
Sometimes, boop, there's a record for Pat Kimball in Mississippi.
Sure.
Or whatever, right? And that's all we know. Literally, there is a record for Pat. And it's like, okay, well, is that a felony conviction record? Is that a this, or is it a that, or is it a whatever, right? So they have to find out. That's when you get a delay. And then they physically have to like, okay, let me click in here and let me get access to the, what did I say? Mississippi clerk. There's just a file. They didn't upload the documents. So they literally will have to like call or email like, hey, Podunk, Mississippi, can you send that? And sometimes they'll be like, no, come get them. Or like I don't work for the FBI. Tell Mr. Hoover to come get him himself.
Right.
And so there's like nothing you can do. But New York is not one of those. New York, we love NICS, obviously. So New York, all of our law enforcement, they collaborate so well. So we're not one of those states where like public safety is compromised because, and another reason why, when you go on a delay, it used to be after 3 days, if they didn't get an answer, you got a gun. Right. Well, New York passed a law where you have to wait the full 30 days that background check is even like eligible for.
Right.
So you're going to wait until you get an answer, basically. So we don't have that concern to worry about either. This is literally just another bureaucrat middleman for no reason. I would love to hear their like camera reason.
Right.
Like, why do they say we're doing this? Well, this is to promote public safety and to increase public safety, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, but tell me how it does that. Because the people that come to a dealer to buy a firearm are not the people that are going out and committing crimes.
Right. I don't care about motivations, right? I care about results at the end of the day, right? Like, and if you're not delivering the results that you're promising, i.e. public safety.
Right. Because then, and I didn't want to remember, it goes back to, like you said, it's not about the result. It's about they want to make it as hard as they can to buy a gun.
Well, there's that element of it, yes, but there's also like the illusion that they're doing something.
Yeah.
Right, exactly that. So that's the biggest problem when people get all excited and exercised about they want to do so. Well, somebody do so, like usually the something that the government is going to come up with to do is not the best something that could be done, right? Because the government doesn't have an incentive to do the right thing or the best thing or the smart thing.
What were we just talking about?
There's no competition.
Before the stream, we were like, DMV.
I'll just go to the other DMV.
I'm going to go to your other competitor, like Mick GMV or whatever, like DMV Express.
It doesn't,
like, no.
Right. So you're boned, man.
They have a monopoly on government.
It's a problem.
Brian asks, was the NICS system forced to hire more investigators to deal with the ammo background check? And I don't think so. And I don't know. But NICS has always said we cannot be used for ammo, and New York was like, damn it. And I think that's playing right into it's my little red strings are connecting to more, on my little
Pepe Sylvia.
Pepe Sylvia. It all comes back to Pepe Sylvia. My red strings are connecting because if Nix won't do the background check, that means New York like has to do the background check, which means they have to come up with some good boy and bad boy list of who can buy ammo. Are you in the naughty list this year? Probably. So I don't know. Yeah, angry faces hit them. I'm mad too. I'm very mad. I know a lot of dealers are scared. I'm one of them. We're very scared and worried about what's going to happen, after September 13th. I mean, obviously, like, I care about my rights, your rights. We're here to fight for your rights, but I am also a business too at the end of the day. And, absolutely. There's like a dollar and cents part of this argument too, where it's like, I make a certain percentage of our money off of ammo sales and the profit from selling you. I'm sorry to tell you that I pay less for the ammo than I sell it to you for. I actually make
this entire time
a sliver of profit. But as Dwayne, I posted a little while ago that like when I've been going to the flea markets, like I've been so grateful that my kid wants to come with me, my oldest anyways, that can come with me. And I just posted a little pity party kind of post the other day about how like, hey, like when you support us, just know that you're not like, I don't have a beach house, let alone a third beach house for you to like buy for me. You know what I mean? Like you're paying for my family and a few of these families that work here. And like, we're not a huge corporation that's like, whatever, but I mean, we are a business and we're here to make some money at the end of the day. Hopefully. And ammo is a great way for us. I mean, yes, you buy a gun, but you can't really do anything with the gun. You got to buy the ammo too. So it's like,
always need batteries.
Right. Yeah. Those guys at Bic were pretty smart. They didn't just make the razor, they made the blades too. Smart.
Almost like they wanted to make some sort of profit.
Yeah. Right. So it's hard. It's going to be very difficult if ammo sales, I don't gamble. I don't like it, but if I were to gamble, I'm going to say that ammo sales are going to tank after this law passes or it takes effect. Why would you want to buy ammo that now you have to do a background check on? You're going to have to pay a fee to get it when, if you're serious, like Pennsylvania is not that far, or you can I'm still find it online. People are going to find a way to get what they want. They did it in the 20s with Prohibition. They're going to do it now. That's with ammo. And it's
the thing that drives me crazy about all of these things that we talk about all the time is like the government isn't even living up to the responsibilities that we've already delegated to it in terms of providing for our security in other ways. And now they're trying to provide for our security in ways that A, most people don't actually want. Mm-hmm. And B, they actually make a lot of people less safe.
Right.
Because what they're doing is they're making it harder for people that live in specific communities or whatever, or are in a specific economic bracket to not be able to afford the things that they need. Mm-hmm. And they're putting small businesses in a real pinch as well. Yeah. And they're making sure that the people that are actually following the laws aren't actually able to afford or obtain the latest and greatest stuff that's out there in order to be able to provide for their own defense. And then they don't even have decent policing to go along with it, or at least like, you know what I mean? Good response times or enough manpower, or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's just so many ways that they're screwing you over.
It's extremely frustrating too. We were just talking about this before the stream. Like this law was passed last summer. We all knew about it. Right. We heard the law got passed. Like we all saw it, and the state police saw it. I'm sure that they learned about it. Right. And like, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Maybe they truly have, like the day that was passed, the next Monday, they were in there like, hey, how are we going to do it? And maybe they've been putting a good faith effort in this whole time, but it feels like they wait and they wait and they wait. And then it gets close enough where it's like, oh shit, we actually have to do this.
Right.
And then it's like they're scrambling because like the state had a call with a bunch of dealers like us and the NSSF, and they told us on the phone, we will have the dealer portal ready on August 16th.
Right.
So 17th today. So yesterday, they were supposed to have the portal ready for me to go in and like register as a business, add maybe like employees, whatever. Maybe give us more information. Yeah. Give us that portal
tools,
that we could get ready. Yes. And it wasn't ready yesterday. And so I called, and I was kind of, again, you're poking the bear, and it's a 10,000-pound grizzly bear with 4 heads that you're poking when you poke New York State.
You really can't afford to get them too pissed at you.
You
right?
can't.
Like,
You can't. Right. So I'm always very professional, and I'm very, I'm asking the question, but I'm asking it. I'm just trying to get full clarity or whatever. So I called around a few numbers. I didn't get through to anybody. So I don't like to call this person because that's not really what he does, but he's kind of like the unofficial point of contact, like for FFLs, just for all of our needs, I guess.
Right.
So I called him. He's a sergeant with the state police. And I called him and he was just like, yeah, like they're working on it. That was his answer.
But what does that mean?
Right. And I'm like, and I'm not trying to be mad at him. Right. But I was like, well, why isn't it ready? And it's like, I should be, I guess, happy that it's not ready because that means maybe it won't happen, but it will happen. It's
Eventually
stupid to
it's
think that
happen.
it's not going to happen. It was supposed to happen when we had the SAFE Act. The SAFE Act had a provision for an ammo background check. And I truthfully think at that point, New York State thought they could just have us do 4473s, use them for ammo,
to some
and
other
just run them.
body, some other entity.
And the ATF and the FBI was like, no, you cannot do that. So they didn't do it. And back then, New York State had no money. We were very broke as a state, had no real money to
Has
do
that improved in
anything.
some significant way that I'm not?
Unfortunately, it has. They've legalized sports gambling.
Oh, sure.
And
right. So
they made like $800 million in the first whatever.
That yet? Okay.
And they legalized cannabis, which, I agree with both of those things. If grown adults want to do what they want to do, it should be legal. And of course, the government says, of course it should be because we can tax it now. We can regulate it and tax it. So the libertarian in me is happy that they've legalized things that should have always been legal. But there's still those state-run monopolies over them that they control, and they dole out the permits. And I mean, gambling's legal, but you couldn't open a you couldn't open a sports betting app.
Not just out of nowhere.
There's only 8 licenses. They've already given them out.
Right.
So they won't allow more. It's like, well, that's not fair.
Wait a second.
But, right. So it's really so.
Wait a second.
I told you I want to hire an investigative journalist. It's this problem where now they actually have the funding.
Yeah.
And they've openly said they're hiring more and more state troopers to manage all of this.
Yeah.
So now they actually have the teeth behind this ammo background check. So I called the state and I said, hey, is it ready? And the guy said, well, not yet.
Right.
And I'm like, well, when is it going to be? He's like, well, soon. And I was like, are they going to are you, the state police, the royal you, going to put out a press release letting the dealers know? No,
never.
You got to just keep checking on the website. And he goes, what are you worried about? You don't have to do this until September 13th. But it's like, but that's
the attitude that permeates the whole.
I didn't come up with August 16th. I didn't say, hey, by that date, I want the dealer portal ready. You said it would be ready by then. And where is it? It seems like,
there's no incentive.
It'll be ready as healthcare.gov is ready. Yeah. And it's a cluster F for the next year. And
okay, so a couple of things that I want to touch on.
We should touch this one too, but go ahead.
Oh, we'll be touching.
We'll be touching with you.
There's a couple of things I want to touch on, right? The first one is as we were talking about earlier, when has the government ever been good at doing stuff, right? So the problem with government agencies is the problem that permeates a lot of big organizations, right? Where the people that are doing the planning are way different than the people who are doing the implementation. So when they come up with a plan, it's kind of like the whole green energy thing, right? In New York State, when are they going to stop selling internal combustion engines in vehicles? Is that 2030?
Either then or 35.
Right.
It's right around the corner.
It's right around the. What do you think the state electrical grid? What do you think the electrical grid has to say about that? Do you think the electrical grid is ready? Do you think the people that pass that shit care about whether or not you can charge your right?
Don't think about that.
Electricity just happened as far as it, right? And the same in California, right? They did all these incentives.
I gotta take my shoes off.
28?
35.
Oh,
35.
Okay. 35. Got it. So, but the same thing in California, right? They did all of this incentives. They did all these incentives for people to go out and get electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Then people got electrical vehicles and they couldn't charge them because there were rolling brownouts everywhere, right? They can't support the amount of electricity. But do you think that anybody in the government gives a shit about
Right.
whether or not you have electricity or whether you can run your air conditioning or whether or not you can get to work.
Right.
It doesn't matter because you're still going to pay your taxes. They're still going to have a job.
We're going to leave the government a 1-star review on Yelp.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Like, and if you stop paying your taxes, like, they still have guys with guns that will come to your house and fucking kill you.
Right.
Right. Like, at the end of the day,
Yep.
like, there's always a man with a gun standing whenever the government tells you anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Right. There's always some person with a gun at the end of that waiting to kill you. Right. So those are the kind of the points that I want to make on that score. And there was another point that I had, but I lost it there. So
well, Michael makes a great point. He says, let's say I order ammo in and he doesn't pass the background check. What happens to his order?
Oh,
like,
the state's going to keep that.
You
ammo,
paid
sir.
$1,000 or whatever it is. You know, you bought some ammo online and yeah, you come. I mean, you're here in the store and you fail the check. You just don't buy it, but you buy ammo online. You have it shipped to us.
Right,
it's already
right.
here. The order's already here. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? It's a great question. It is a great question. I think you would have to, in that scenario, send it back to whoever you bought it from.
Right.
And I'm sure they're not going to do that for no charge. Like, you're going to have to pay some kind of restocking fee. And yeah, let's see here. Somebody said, Brian said, that explains why they did away with the college requirements and raised the age limit for troopers. And yeah, a couple people saying the 2035. You can't charge where it's hot outside. Cart in front of the horse. And yep. And WEF says you will have nothing and be happy. That's right.
Well, they don't say you will have nothing. In fairness, they say you will own nothing. So you'll have whatever they give you, Marianne, and that's the real problem, right? In the final analysis, is you will have whatever they tell you you may have, and nothing more than that. So, guys, I love getting all black pilled here with you guys, and like being wicked negative and whatever, but I want to be even more negative on like a personal front.
Well, no, is it time?
We got to pull the Band-Aid off,
We have
bro.
to tell him. Just tell him.
Guys, I don't want to alarm anyone, but this is going to be my last live stream here with you guys. Brandon's a little upset about it, and I'm very sad that Tyler's not here to share in this moment with us all. I appreciate the extra acting that you're doing. No, but
we are sad though.
It's a bummer.
You definitely. I mean, I've been faking it this whole time. I don't know anything about guns. Like I barely keep it together. What's the one with the G and the Glock? Yes. No, so
I thought you were gonna say, when you said you've been faking it this whole time. I was like, I thought you were going a whole different direction. So yeah, guys,
tell us why. Tell us why. They deserve to know.
You do deserve.
Look him in the face.
I want to be very frank with you guys.
Tying my shoe and nothing else.
So Rochester Precision Optics, as you guys may or may not know, I have recently started working over there, and I'm really enjoying it for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
I really, first of all, it's a great company. You guys may remember a few weeks ago we had Colin over here. Dude, I wish, John. A couple weeks ago, we had Colin in here, and he was talking about how great it is to work for RPO. And I have to tell you that my own experience kind of mirrors what he was talking about. It is a great environment, and they are great people, and I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm learning a lot of new stuff. And unfortunately, guys, the stuff that I was doing as far as like UPS and running my own business and, doing some lessons here, it just wasn't enough to pay the bills, unfortunately. And I had to be like an adult and make sure that I was providing appropriately for my family. So I had to get a real job, and like a job that I could actually I had a steady
a
paycheck.
career.
Right. Yeah. Like something that's like moving forward. Right. So ultimately, I'm going to be going a second shift at RPO, which means I'm not going to be able to be here on Thursday nights with you guys. So I'm kind of bummed about that. I'm going to find other ways to be more involved with the shop.
I was going to say, however, this isn't like goodbye forever.
Oh, definitely not.
No. It's not like you're never going to see Pat. I'll
be here.
Just discussing, maybe we can film like some pre-recorded bits. Maybe Pat has a segment on the show. Tyler and I can get a bathroom break maybe for once. And
I want to be involved.
Yes,
for sure.
And we literally, the first thing we said was, we'll just change the night of the stream.
Yeah, that was
We're
one
gonna
thing that kinda
rearrange
came up.
everything. We're switching networks, new time, new network, new place.
I really appreciate everybody that watches the stream, and I really enjoy interacting with you guys, and I definitely don't want that to go away. And also I really appreciate everything that the pin has done for me and that you guys have done for me as far as like helping me to learn and grow. So I'm not going anywhere. People at RPO have asked me if I'm going to be like leaving the pin or will I still be involved over here. 100%. I'm still going to be doing my thing over here with these guys. As far as first line defense goes, guys, that's a little bit more up in the air. I got to be perfectly frank with you. There's just a lot of things that I want to be able to do as a one-man operation as far as like marketing is concerned and as far as like different things that I think could have been done differently or better in order to make the business more successful. But as everything with a one-man shop, like it's up to one person, right? Like you have to succeed or fail on your own. And I'm not going to say that I've necessarily failed, but I definitely haven't been as successful as what I wanted to be. And that just is what it is. So, that hasn't really been paying the bills. I'm not saying that first line defense is like dead and gone or whatever. But as far as like some of the freedom that I was hoping it would give me, it just never really kind of materialized. I always ended up working for and with somebody else. So that's kind of where we're at. I see a lot of a few comments in there in the chat from some of our regular watchers. I really appreciate it, guys. But like I said, I'm definitely not going to be away. I'm not going to be separating myself from the pin. I still love these guys. I'm still an employee here. And you guys can still reach out to me, and definitely like Brandon was talking about, we're going to figure out a way to keep me on the stream. If it's going to be questions maybe that you guys ask, like let's say you're watching the stream this evening.
Ooh, yeah, we'll do one where we like have everybody submit a bunch of questions.
And I can record do a segment where I answer whatever. There's also ways, that you guys can obviously come and train with me, and maybe I'll start working behind the gun counter again because that was a pretty good time.
I know Tyler wants to do.
Jim. I appreciate it, man.
Tyler wants to do a series where he like interviews veterans.
Yeah, he asked me if I would be willing to sit down with him and talk about some stuff. You guys already kind of got, I don't know, you guys already kind of got what you needed from me, I think. But.
Sarge's old stories.
Yeah, you got a couple good stuff. I mean, there's other stuff, but.
I think it'd be cool, though, to have you, basically, have a show of your own where you're talking to vets, because you can connect on a different level with a veteran. Than, we're going to ask questions that are definitely from, like, a civilian mind frame, right? And whatever, and you're gonna ask them from more of a peer, I guess, or they might be more open. Not that you want them to discuss things that they wouldn't be comfortable discussing with us, but there just might be some more, or the right questions to ask too, I guess.
I know you can
open those doors. That's probably just as important.
There's some questions that you don't necessarily want to ask or whatever, but there's some questions that you're right, might be better received coming from somebody who's also like been in their shoes to some degree. But guys, please let us know in the chat if you guys have any like suggestions. I definitely want to put out I've always thought about putting out like more content. Unfortunately, the thing about content is it's a big time commitment, and it's hard to monetize unless it's really top tier, right? Because I'm not going to ask you guys to subscribe to some channel where it's bullshit when you could go on the internet and get good information for free, right? So like if I was going to do something of that description, I would want it to be really top tier. There's something too, I think you're the same. I know I am. When we do a live stream, like there used to be that uneasiness or almost like nervousness, at least for me, for sure,
of like, what are we going to talk about? And we're going to go for like over an hour, and like now we go almost 2 hours some nights. And it's like, there was that queasiness of not knowing what to do. And now we're like so comfortable doing these live streams. We don't even think about it anymore. We set everything up, and it's like, oh, we're late, whatever, go live. And here we are, we're just doing it. And I think we come across quite natural, and we're just kind of here. We're here. We've done this for long enough.
Doing the stuff,
but still, as much live stuff as we've done, when you go to record, like, all right, we're going to do a video that we're going to edit, and then we'll send it out. It's like, hello, I am Pat, and I'm not making fun of you. I'm the same way, but it's like, hi, I am Brandon, and I am here today to show you the Glock, and it's a great handgun, and it's just
You
like,
become
I just
really
can't do it. Yeah, like,
you become really aware that you're talking to a camera,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like
yeah.
right now, the great thing about this is like I have you,
Sure.
right? And so we
Aw,
can do
I
this
have you
thing,
too,
right?
buddy.
Yeah, we got
thank
each
you.
other, so that's cool. I got
Get
my
the fuck
security
outta here.
blanket over here, right? But then also I got you guys over here, right? So I know Jim, right? So when
Yeah.
I see his name
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
chat, I'm talking to Jim.
Right.
I would talk with Jim across the gun counter.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
talk with Jim.
Yeah.
You know what I
I'd
mean?
probably
So-
cross the other side of the street. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Not for Jim. No, he's a good dude. No, but so that's where we're at, guys. I just wanted to kind of put. I
Thank
didn't
you.
want to put that out there necessarily, but I want you
Yeah.
guys to know, like, full transparency. I'm not abandoning you guys. I'm not being pushed out. I still love the firing pin. I still love the community and everything it represents, and I still want to be here for you guys and with you guys. So if there's anything, you know,
you put
guys
this
want-
so deep into the stream. There's no way Tyler's going to upload this tomorrow or whenever. There's no way he's watching any of
He'll
this
never
or
see
listening to any of this.
Man,
So
he's gonna be really sad next Thursday.
we're going to tell him next Thursday that you went to grab some milk. That's happened to too many men have done that to him. He knows.
He already knows
would
that
know.
trick.
Yeah. He knows that trick. Oh my God. Yeah, he'll be all right.
He'll make it.
Yeah. So do we have any other last minute questions for tonight or? Oh yeah. We've got some cool other uppers here too.
Man,
yeah.
they are.
This one, Josiah told me, the other Joe, he told me to put like Car 15 upper because it's kind of, I guess, inspired by that, right? Like it's kind of Car 15-esque.
It is
You
sort
know,
of Car 15.
It's got a fixed like A2 or A3, maybe A2 charging handle, right? Or carrying handle. And so there's that one, and that's available $6.99. That's like,
you know why it's not, you know, the difference between the Car 15 and the XM177 that made him tell you to put that on there?
Mm-mm.
It's the 203 cut on the barrel.
Ah, okay.
So that's got a SOCOM profile barrel with a 203
yeah.
cut, which means it's a little bit more modern. The Car 15 was a little bit earlier than that.
Straight, right?
Yeah.
Thin profile.
Right.
And then this is a CMP competitor's dream. This is match ready, I would say. This is a Colt upper with a very thick, heavy profile barrel, and then feel how heavy that upper is. That's like twice as heavy as I would say most.
Well, it's got a really significant amount of weight up here in the hand.
Mhm.
And I mean, you can feel it when you
Can we
handle it.
So that they
I honestly
it's not
don't
pain in the
know
butt.
if you can take it off or
It's got
not.
a free float handguard in
Right.
here with weights,
Yeah.
like all throughout. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
It does have, for what it's worth, it does have no bayonet lug and it does have a crown muzzle. So for those of you guys who, like us, live in New York State with all of the restrictions and everything, this wouldn't be something that would get you jammed up. It also used to have a BCG, but used to have a BCG. I don't know what happened to it.
So Jim says we have to tell Tyler that you went to get Arizona's, and then you never come back.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's rough. That is rough.
Yeah, thank you everybody for all the well wishes and things like that. I'll tell you guys a secret. I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for this or not. I shouldn't tell you. Today was the well, they're gonna probably post about it or whatever. Anyways, today was the RPO summer social at work.
Yeah.
And it was also the conclusion of my third week over there. Just a coincidence they didn't do it for me or whatever.
Wow, they love you.
Right. They really stoked
Wow.
I'm over there. No, it's not true. But so the summer social was today, and the last half of my day was spent enjoying like some sunshine and kickball.
That's
and
awesome.
Food trucks and so they treat their employees real well over there and stuff like
Well,
that.
stop telling the rest of the guys here this kind of stuff. The job sucks, and they're really mean.
And I would never.
They're not as funny.
I would never split the recruitment bonus with any of you guys. You came
Son
over
of a
there.
bitch.
I couldn't actually put cold hard cash in your hand or anything like that. So,
Mad react. Mad react
Just
myself.
randomly in the stream.
Does it do anything if I do it?
Oh,
it
yeah.
does. Look at that. That's funny. That's great.
And it stays there too. That's even better. Just very pissed.
Oh, I can't use it. I spammed myself. That's so fucking funny.
Is that funny?
We limit how often you can post, comment, or do other things in a given amount of time in order to protect the community from spam.
Oh, thank you, Facebook, for protecting the community.
Later.
What are you talking about?
I agree.
Protect the community.
It's
We'll
funny.
protect our own community.
I always thought it was one of those that like any engagement is good engagement, right? Like it still drives the
Allegedly.
algorithm, right? Yeah. So just like crashed our page. It's like gave it 10 negatives.
You can't do angry
angry,
reacts.
angry.
Get mad.
Well, I'm triggered now.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Get going to your
interwebs.
other family, Pat.
Right.
I understand.
I know. What
It's
a
all right. We love you,
dick.
buddy.
Yeah. Hey guys, thank you for everything. As far as like the live stream goes, keep watching the stream because these guys are gonna do they're gonna keep having great streams. It's gonna still be awesome content. And it'll be Tyler and Brandon, or they'll find another weird third wheel.
I need a buffer. I can't
gotta
be
put somebody in there.
There's gotta be.
I got it.
We gotta
Yeah.
do something.
You guys, because you get enough of each other in bed, and then
yeah, we see each other at home. We see each other
It's just
here. It's too much.
Yeah,
It's too
I get
much.
it, man.
All right. That's a great end of the stream.
All right, guys.
See you, everybody.